Hi, and thank you for joining us today as we continue our work with Vin and Lisa Fetty. We're getting close to the finish line, and Vin and Lisa are moving at an incredible rate. They're taking these principles and they're really applying them, and it's making a difference. I want you to notice today their attitude, their demeanor about their ministry, and how just being able to articulate it well to your audience and knowing how to work with them through a step process to bring them in makes a whole difference in your outlook, your approach, and your attitude. It's hard to build a business when you're discouraged or when you're unsure if your message is really getting through. So I hope today again is very helpful to you. And as always, if you have challenges and you can't quite get there, feel free to get in touch with me and we'll help you just like we've helped Vin and Lisa Fetty. Let's join our conversation now. Welcome to Values, People, and Purpose. I'm Tim Buchanan.
And I'm Vin Fetty.
And I'm Lisa Fetty.
And we're discussing their wonderful, exciting project, worshiplive.com, that they've been working on for quite some time.
Yes.
They've been making incredible progress, and I'm excited again this week to see what they're doing. So grab you a cup of coffee and pencil and paper so you can take a few notes, and we'll just jump right in and get started. So last week we talked about steps, and I know all this is kind of coming at you like a fire hose. My end of it is, I'm just like you are on your ministry there. I've been doing this for decades, and so it just kind of comes natural in my brain, and you're getting it first time here, and you're like, oh, what do we do with all this stuff? But it's like you're working with it and thinking through it, and that's awesome, and that's what it takes. It's just a process that you begin to do, and you'll always be doing this, always be thinking in these terms. It's kind of like when people go to law school. My daughter's an attorney. They oftentimes say that it's not about the law education, it's teaching people how to think like a lawyer. That's the real purpose of the 3 years. And so that's what this is. It's just kind of getting to where you think in the process and the relationship with your clients in a different way. So catch me up. Tell me what's happening, what you've been thinking, what you've been working on this last week.
Whoa.
Yeah,
we've been busy.
We have been really busy.
You guys are working really hard on this.
I will let you know this before Lisa jumps in. Your book, Candlestick Wars, I went back through it. The second time I went back through it, I actually got so much more out of it. And realizing that, having to kind of do that whole, like, you look in the mirror thing and you say to yourself, okay, who am I in this book? And I've been, Bob's one of the characters, and I've been straight up him. I've always, I've railed against that whole thing. I've kind of gotten a little bit to the point to where I was not noticing it anymore. And I was just like everything, I know how to do things. I'm experienced in doing this, but you all don't understand that I'm experienced. I know how to do it. Or we have this ministry and you should do this. You should pull into our ministry. We shouldn't have to come to you. But the book, I'll just let you know, it's been a blessing because it's really turned the tide in my mind and helped me put myself in the place of Anne, which is the other character, smarter and more caring and value based. So that's been my journey up to this point in the book. So I've learned lots personally too.
Awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad it was a blessing to you.
Yes. So. From myself as well, I really felt that, diving in deeper and it really makes you examine yourself. It makes you look at yourself and say, okay, which side are you leaning toward? And realizing that we do kind of, when you have this baby, so to speak, you can come across even arrogant in how you look at it. Like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Why don't you see it that way?
Right.
So yeah, it's been very educational for us both, and I think we've both grown because of it. So that's been awesome. this past few weeks, we've really been concentrating on that initial handshake, that homepage message, because we feel that having that right sets the tone for every other part of where they're going to learn more about our ministry. And so we
But Lisa,
just keep going
I want to
back to it.
interrupt you for a second. I want to interrupt you for a second because I want you to really expand on the fact that it brought our ministry into what we do, what we were, where our heart is. We knew it internally, but we didn't know how to say it externally. And
Right,
so
exactly.
okay. Sorry about interrupting you, but go ahead.
That's okay. Absolutely. You're so right, because we kept saying, we know our heart, but how do we explain that to someone else? And so we kept going back to the drawing board for the last, really, I think 2 weeks or more. That has been our big focus, because we just really wanted that to be right. And so even just yesterday, we feel like we finally have it where it needs to be. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but this is what it says. I'll read it to you. It says, transformative ministry for music artists. At some point, every music artist comes up against a roadblock. We facilitate life-impacting encounters with God that remove their obstacles so that they start growing again in their faith and creativity. And when we boil down every single ministry and ministry that is going to be a future portion of the of Worship Live, that is really what it was all about.
Yeah, and that's an awesome statement, and we're going to be looking at some of the changes you made there. And I think what you've done is, I think you've finally got all the facets on the diamond there. And we're going to put just a little bit of last minute polish on it. In fact, I got Vin's text that said that he had just uploaded that a little earlier, and so that's why I'm running a little behind here, and because I wanted to take a little time.
I wanted to at least let you know.
Surprise!
I was so taken with it that I even forgot it's a beautiful summer day here, and I forgot to close the window in my studio, so you hear my little wind chimes over there. I was going to worry about that, and I'm like, no, maybe people like the sound of wind chimes. So,
it's nice. Yeah.
But no, you've come so far, and what's so important about that is not just that you get this down for people to see when they come to your website. What's really powerful about this is it's been a paradigm shift for you of seeing the relationship and the taking of your ministry and sharing it with others and connecting them to it and doing the work of basically a ministry of hospitality to your guests to help them get it.
Yes.
And that's the part after you go through all this, and it is a little gut-wrenching, isn't it, to try and work through all this.
Ooh, yeah.
It is gut-wrenching. That's a good word for it.
But after you do, and it is even for, my own website and stuff, it's hardest to do for yourself, but no one can do it but you. But it fundamentally changes the way you see the relationship in the ministry from here on out, and it makes an incredible dynamic for you.
Yeah, I think the part that was challenging was that if we were just trying to write a handshake for each individual thing, it would be much easier. But because we wanted something that would encompass the ministry as a whole, that was really the challenge that we were faced with, is we didn't want to be so ambiguous that no one had any clue what we were doing, but yet make sure that it represented the ministry as a whole as well.
Right. That is tough, because oftentimes people do several different things. It's just like me and mine. I mean, it took me years to get to values, people, and purpose. I mean, I had all these different things, and it's hard. It's hard, but you've done an awesome job of it, and I can tell over the weeks as your frown has been turned upside down, you've got a new passion and a new excitement about what you're doing and a new hope for it. And you should, because you've done awesome on it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Nice.
So Anything else before we jump right in and look at the website?
No, I don't think.
Can't think of
I don't think
anything.
right now. Yeah.
All right. I've got. I've actually got a screenshot here. We're not going to go to the web. We're going to do a screenshot here that I annotated, and we're going to look, like I said, we're just going to do a little polishing on the diamond here because I love what you've done with it. And let me see here. Give me just a second, and we'll bring up that screen and look at it. Okay. Now I've done this so that it makes it hard to see here. So that's why everything is big and bold on it. Is in fact so that I'm not looking off sideways in our shot here. Let me bring it over to the main video here if I can do that. Okay. Let's see. All right. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the little polish that we have on it. And again, the big bold pink was so that you can actually see it. It's not, I mean, that's I know it's kind of like, look at he drew all over the thing.
No, that's good. Good.
It's
like
really,
it, yeah.
really minor stuff. One of the important things in here in the wording that you use is that you talk to them individually. If you try and talk to the masses, you'll lose the individual. If you talk to the individual, you'll capture the masses. Okay? It's just like when Pam and I would go to maybe I've told you this story, but Pam and I go to the picture show. We usually go like on a Tuesday afternoon when the average age of the people in there is deceased. And, you know, I mean, she's as pretty as she ever was. So every now and then I want to steal a kiss. And she'll say, no, she'll say, other people can see. And I'm like, think about it. They're not paying any attention to that. I mean, they are glued to the movie. And it's
Right.
just like when you go anywhere, church or anywhere, and someone's up front talking, you're kind of oblivious to everyone unless they do something really distracting because you're having a one-on-one. And a presenter that can do that one-on-one can capture the masses because they can capture each individual person. So that's what we want to take to that beautiful opening statement you have. You said at some point, every music artist comes up against a roadblock. That's awesome. That's going to catch tons of people right now. They're going to say, wow, that's where I'm at. I'm so frustrated. I love that. You make that passion and emotional connection right off. You say, we facilitate life-impacting encounters with God that remove their obstacles. And so right there, then, the difference that you make. You got it right there. And then, and that's actually one I missed right there. What we want to do is we want to change the they and their to you and your.
Okay.
So that you start growing again in your faith and creativity. So it takes it from talking about an abstract person to the person reading it. You're addressing them individually. So it would read, and the one I missed was in the previous, that God can remove your obstacles so that you start growing again in your faith in creativity. And that takes that wonderful all-encompassing statement and it personalizes it to the person that's reading it, because when they look at your website, it's just you and them one-on-one, and they need that personal connection in how you talk to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
And I think that was one of the things we kind of, I guess, forgotten about, because we were thinking like, hey, an Uber driver says, hey, what do you do for a living? Then we would probably come at them with because it's probably not them. They're probably not, they may not be a musician, and I'm not sure how to approach that one, but I can definitely see on the site it needs to be you. And yeah, right. Yeah.
And and I mean, these are a lot of things to kind of juggle, and until you kind of get used to them, you'll do that. I mean, I write stuff sometimes, and I'll go, "Oh, come on, Tim, personalize that," you know. Okay, and
Yes.
then one of the things that we've talked about, and you said was tough, was the learn more button.
Right.
I came up with a suggestion for you to think about. You've constructed your ministry and the different aspects of what you do is helping people get on a journey, helping them come along and partnering together. So one of my suggestions was maybe change it to start your journey.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
And they can connect. So then the other thing that we can do is under the next one right down there, you brought those major events that you do in the major ways which you make a difference for them right up there under that opening banner, and I love that. You have events and initiatives. That's a good technical name for it.
Mm-hmm.
Initiatives and events don't give me a lot of warm fuzzies.
Oh, come on.
So
I get you. Yeah.
We're gonna kind of kill two birds with one stone here. We're gonna introduce them to the difference that you can make and how you make it. And we're also gonna give them sort of a call to action. Instead of a billboard of events and initiatives, we're gonna ask and change that heading to where would you like to start?
Mm-hmm.
And again, tweak that if you think it needs it, but more something
Sure.
that it's a little bit of something of, all right, come on, are you ready to go? And some people need just that little nudge rather than it be a little bit of it at a distance from them. This brings it right up to them and says, okay, now here's how we can start, because I'll guarantee you that opening statement you have made up there, people are going to read that and it's going to touch their heart and they're going to say, that's me. And after they've said, that's me, okay, that's that first step. You made a connection. We talked about steps last week. You've made a connection and you've instantly given them a value. And that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. When people take a step, they're going to pause just a minute. They want to see, where's the value? And I think you've done that beautifully at the top there in that statement you came up with, because the value you've given them so wonderfully as they go, wow, these people understand in such a caring way. They get what I'm going through. And so now they're ready to take the next step. So the next step is, where would you like to start? It's the old adage, would you like fries with that?
That's right. I would.
And so I don't have these in any particular order. I just, with what was already there in the screenshot, I added these, okay? So you may want to change your order a little bit. I almost suggest you do. But first of all, under the Christian music relief, you have little descriptors of the boxes that are above the Christian music relief. Bring those right up and put the descriptors right under it. Okay. As they look at that, don't make them work to find more about it. Just go ahead and tell them right there, little descriptions. I'd also add what's going to be a big part of yours, because some people might be ready for it. I'd probably put it about third in the row. I'd put the competition is the first one. The mobile music initiative is the second one. Now the wind's going to blow through those open windows, blow my papers all over.
No.
And then probably discipleship, discipling, however you want to word it, I'd make that the third one. Intensive last, and then I would add the one there, struggling. There are people going to come here that, as you've already identified, that they're up against a roadblock. Some of them are just frustrated. They're like, I don't know. I don't know what. Is it even worth it? You know what? I've tried to get my songs out there. Nobody does anything. Nobody wants to collaborate with me. I don't know anything. You know, they're going to be really so hit that, because I put this in here because I think this is where your hearts are.
Mhm.
Just need to talk. We're here for you.
Yeah.
In that,
That's right.
too, you can, so that person who clicks on struggling, that's the person that goes, wow, they took that first step. They saw it. They're like, these people get me. They felt that. That's the value. They come here and they're like, I can't even make the next little step. I'm so far down in this. That struggling, then you're going to help them make that next step. You're going to see where they're at. And by spending just a little time communicating back and forth with them, and I wouldn't send them to your normal contact page. I would make a special page where you reiterate, hey, we've been there. We know what it's like when you're struggling so bad you don't even know the next step to take. Let them know that you understand and make a special contact form for that. And then communicate with them. And you know, they may be selling themselves short. I mean, they may really have some things going on, but they just haven't known how to move forward. They may just need a little discipleship. They may just be starting writing songs. So, you know, you'll know where to plug them in here and you can help them with that. Okay.
I think that's wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, that is good. I like that. Yeah.
And from there on out, you know, I think that's great. That's just those few little polishes I would put on that. And like I say, with using the bright pink color, I know it looks like I grew all over it, but
that was good. Good to show us.
Those are just a couple little things I think that would really enhance it and just take it a little bit further down the road where you want to go.
Absolutely. Yes, take that note. I know I'll get the video, but I want to take the note anyway.
and I'll send you this PDF. Do you mind if I post this PDF for other people to look at too?
Yes, yeah, please.
Oh, go right ahead. Please do.
We'll post that out, and that way they can look at it and maybe make some correlations with their website, how these things work. But in that, then the next step we want to take is that value that they see for every step. Is you've built a staircase now. You've really thought through that. Now at each step, you have to ask yourself what do they get out of it. One of the other things I would probably add, and I ran out of room here. You might also put your blog in there so that they can get to your blog real easy. They may want to say, hey, what kind of things? And one of the good ways you could do that is under each one of those discipling, feedback, collaboration, intensive, or struggling, is you could link them right to a blog post that discusses each one of those things.
That's good.
That's a great idea.
That could be a read more or something like that. But then, okay, now they're going to go, yeah, I want to learn a little more about that. And that might be the natural next step for a little blurb. Read more, take them to a good blog post that gives them some usable information that whether they go another step with you, and that's how you want to think of this. No matter how far they come through those steps of engaging with you, at any point, if they stop, they have gained value and they're better off. Okay? Because they may not be ready for what you have to offer, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. And at some point when they're ready, they're going to go, hey, there was this worship something or another I found. They're going to start Googling. They're going to find you. And now they're ready because they remember I got value every step of the way. And so you can send them that blog post and then think, okay, from the blog post, where do I take them? What's the next step for whichever one they clicked on here? And I would also put a blog post on for struggling. That's a great way and a great place to get maybe a successful artist who'd want to share some of their things. I remember a guy named Andy Andrews. He's a clean cut comedian. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. But he wanted to go on and give people even more than his comedy. And so he wrote a series of books. There were 3 different books, but he wrote the first one. It's called Storms of Perfection. And he wrote all these famous people and he said, just send me a story on your letterhead on something that sometime you really struggled and you didn't think you were going to make it, and how it really made you better in the long run. And when he got 100 letters back from movie stars, politicians, athletes, I mean, obviously he got a small percentage back, but there were people that wrote him. He put it together in a book, and he took it to his agent, and he said, can we sell this? And he says, no, you're a comedian. Just do what you do. And he went to publishers, and they're like, we're not interested. So he just started promoting himself, and he sold 100,000 copies. Then he went to a publisher, like, now? And they like, nah, you probably sold all you're going to sell. And long story short, he just did all 3 books himself. And it was great. But people ate up the fact that, hey, there's someone else out there that struggled and made it. And so that would be a great blog post to have there. If they don't want to connect with you right away, they'll read that and then again say, you know what, we're here, we care, get in touch with us. And
that's a good idea.
Those might actually be some of your most popular blog posts, and a great way to connect with some well-known artists and well-known people in the industry. That again, then they'll promote it on their social media and on their website, and you're helping people at the same time. I mean, there's so many different steps, because once you learn the step and value returned right away, and the next step and how to call them to that step, then what happens is you begin to apply this to your collaboration relationships as you build your ministry and build your exposure. Because that's what we have, those 3 levels. You start out needing exposure, next level credibility, and finally profitability.
That's great. I like that. It's a great idea too.
Very good.
Yeah, because we really do want that help for them, so they can say, hey, okay, I can take the next step, and then they come back later. So
right. And again, I know your hearts are is that if someone never ever engages with you, but you help them or heal them or get them to believe in themselves and the calling that they have to their music ministry again,
absolutely,
it's worth it. It's worth
absolutely.
it. And so,
that's what it's all about.
Yes. And so that's where the values, the people, and the purpose come in, is that, you know, we give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, full measure, running over. And
amen. That's right. Yeah.
I want people to be blessed at every impact with you, but those that are really ready to move on, those you're here and ready to do it. And that's where we're going to go next week in that final step. You're in the steps and value, step and value. Now you want to think, the last step in that is you've read in the Candlestick Wars, is you want to think about the future. And that I told you some time back, that's where Hawaii comes into the picture. And that's where you have a vision and a future that you can even engage your audience, and until that comes about, you can even engage them in praying about that for you and joining you in partnership. And people need, they don't want to just come and, well, you know, the Feddies helped me so much, but I can't do anything for them. I mean, if it's like, guys, hey, can you pray about this next step that we're going? They're like, yeah, I'm all in. That's how partnerships, that's what you want to build. You want to build a collaboration partnership. You want to take them from being a client or a customer to the point where they're a partner. And that's where it really takes off, because once people partner with you through prayer, through support, whatever, now they have a stake in it, and they begin to participate in that process of building it beyond what you could just do yourself.
Yes. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It does. Makes a lot of sense.
Next week, then, because you guys are doing so awesome on this stuff.
Thanks.
And you've got it down, you've done this on the homepage, and so you're just going to start clicking with every other page. You're going to be, you know, you're going to go from being the Padawan to the master now.
So.
When you start thinking about that future and where that grows, and this is that ultimate point in leadership of your ministry, is that we get to the point where we begin to think four-dimensionally. And people listening out there, I don't want to get into an extended physics discussion about the fourth dimension, but mainly that means time. You think of things in time.
Yeah.
The Apostle Paul started out being very narrow-minded, just thinking about himself and what was important to him, and then he went to that next step. We talk about this, about the four dimensions of the interpersonal mind. Is that next the Apostle Paul allowed somebody to speak into his life. And then the Apostle Paul went and met the other apostles, and he realized that not only was his life being spoken into, but others were too, and that they collaborate. And as he gets towards the end of his ministries, you read his epistles, you see that he begins talking about the plans that God has, not only for the church, but eschatology and all these different things. He begins to move out of where God is moving in different lives and stuff. And so that's that final stage of leadership. We're allowing others to speak into our life. We realize that that's going on with others that we collaborate with, and we begin to think about all these things are moving in time. And as your ministry grows, you're going to come back and tweak some of these things. You're going to hear some stuff, and you're going to say, hey, some people need this step added. Some people need us to add this dimension of it. Some people missed this that we were trying to say about what a difference we make. So as you do that, you're always understanding that it's shifting and changing, and you're doing that with it. And that you're also planning that future, because as we've seen in our world just in the last 6 months, incredible changes that are going on. And so you always need to be ahead of the curve, allowing the Spirit to speak into your life about where is this going and what is coming, so that those who are allowing you to minister to them don't get to a point one day where they look to you guys and you go, we don't know, good luck. That's part of the leadership responsibility. Had a company president one time tell me, we were talking, I was very young, early 20s, and we were talking about his work, and he was a company president at a location of a major Fortune 500 company. And I said, so you know what, man, I bet you're really busy around the plant there and the things you do. And he said, actually, I'm not. He says, I've got people that do that. I said, well, then, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
My time is spent working on everything for tomorrow. He says, because when my company gets tomorrow, I haven't been there and done the groundwork to have it ready for them, they're all lost and they're in trouble. He said, tomorrow is my responsibility.
That's cool.
He also told me one time he wanted to add a specific aspect to their facility. And he'd brought it up at the annual board meeting where he had to go all the top executives of the corporation and present his plans for the coming year. He presented it 2 years in a row and got shot down, just cold.
Wow.
And I said, so what are you going to do this year? He says, well, I'm going to bring it up again. He says, I said, why?
Tenacious.
Why are you doing that? And, I'm sitting there thinking, well, he's going to get fired. He said, because it's the right thing to do, and it's my job to keep reminding them of that. So you have those specific responsibilities that we're going to talk about next time. And I want you to go ahead and relax a little bit on this stuff. I know you're going to keep working on it, but this week, take a little time and think, what's out there and where are we going and where will we be moving? And because in the same way that you're creating those steps and responses and feedback and things for the people you're going to have in your ministry, you need to be thinking about that for yourselves and and where you're going in the future too, what the steps will be as it grows and as you grow and as you bring people along in that growth. So now's the fun time to think a little bit about the future and, where we're going. Here's what I want you to think too. And this is what we call scenario planning on the business side. Is I want you to think about a couple of different things. If things get better, just go up and things explode and we grow and everything, what's the plan? And how are we going to move and what's it going to look like? I also want you to think about giving the unpredictability of our world and yet still acknowledging God is sovereign and He's not being surprised by a single solitary thing. If things as we see it go, whew, and things get, like here in Colorado now, they've gone back, and I know this is going to cause some real challenges for a lot of people who are struggling with things. They've come back now and said mandatory mask in church, and if things begin to get what we would say from human eyes worse, if worship teams start struggling and churches start struggling and they don't feel there's the music opportunities that they're used to, things start going more and more online, what's the plan then? What's the steps then? You guys need to be ready, and that's part of that four-dimensional view of things, that you look at it, as James says, the Lord's wills going forward. If this happens, what are we going to seek to do? And as this happens, what are we going to seek? So build scenario A, scenario B, not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared so that you're able to continue to answer your calling even in difficult times. As Paul said, I've had plenty, I've had a little. I've learned to be content, so that you go into it and you go, you know what? Praise God, things are just going down the hole. But He's prepared us, and we're good, and we're going to be able to keep answering our calling to these Christian musicians in the midst of it.
Yes, indeed.
So
that's
there
wisdom.
we are.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Any question?
Not at this time. I think just wow. Yeah, it's been a really great journey. I think me and Lisa talked about it. Like how everything, like we wrote all these different handshakes and did all these different things. And we were like, well, if we did this, then we could just put it that we don't build, well, I mean, we could be a part of that. Absolutely. But our main focus is not putting wells in Africa or feeding the poor downtown. That all comes out of the ministry to do the work of that through other means. But like we couldn't just put that in there. And like that's for some people that's important. Like when you're talking about babies, that's important. Most people can agree that, talking about babies or getting somebody's belly fed when they're hungry, that's all really important. It's getting the message that we're coming up to a time in our, which we've really been feeling almost like a dark ages of music. They're coming, it's creeping. And if we don't save these musicians from, we're not saving them. I know that, but I'm saying as far as saving and putting together these platforms they can come to and see there's a different way, and they can get deeper in God and have and have that really, encompassing experience with God, that music will turn around. And so that's part of what we really want to do, is because we want to open their eyes, because they're already doing good things. They're probably already feeding the poor. They're probably already doing, things for babies. But our really goal is that's really what we're really trying to get to. And that's been the struggle. I think, we're past almost the frustration. I would say we're past the frustration part.
Yay!
So yeah, right. So when we first started, I was super frustrated. Now I'm like, I can send this to somebody. Like, once this is all polished and done, I can actually send this back through and say, here, instead of going, well, here you go, and then not understand. They're going to understand what
Here's
it's
our
all
18-point
about.
thesis on our
Right.
When we first started, I looked at your website and went, whoa, that's heavy. And now today I look at it and I'm like, Wow, that just really excites me and touches my heart. I mean, you have gone from one end of the spectrum to the other. In fact, would you guys do me a favor, please?
Yeah.
You're a homeschooler. Do you ever put any of your kids' stuff up on the refrigerator or anything?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. I want you to print out your website like I did here. Get a good printout, take a screenshot, print out. And I want you to write mom and dad on it. And I want you to put over here an A+. Get it on the refrigerator for the kids to see. You promise me that you'll do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because that's the grade I give you for where you
Oh man, thanks. That's
Yay!
it's a high
You
compliment.
had the transformation too. I mean, when we started, you guys
Yay.
were like, "Yeah, we're so excited we can hardly contain it." And you know, I watched your joy come back, your excitement come back, and your passion come back, or at
Mhm.
least not be so weighed down by
Yeah.
Yeah.
trying to get this off, because you have a vision now, and you have a vehicle in a way that, wow, we can actually connect this with people, and we know how to get them going. And now it's just the work that's just as much work to go out and actually get it exposed to enough people that they do it. But I'll guarantee you, when people come and see this, the people that need it,
Mhm.
this is going to touch them. They won't miss this. There's no chance
Praise
they'll
God.
miss this. And you've got 5 different areas you can plug them into, from discipling to feedback, collaboration to intensive to struggling. You've got ways you can plug them in, and you've got just a wonderful invitation how they can start and to get started. And I think the people that need this are about 500% more likely to get it than they would have when we started this.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
pretty.
I agree.
It was pretty deep, pretty poetically deep. No way else to put it.
Good job. Good job. So put
Thanks so
that
much,
A+
Tim.
paper up on the refrigerator and say, "There you go, kid."
Okay. You know it. We
You
will.
got it.
Send me a picture of it. I want to see it.
Okay.
I'll send you a copy of this, and we'll have it for download too. And I appreciate your willingness to share it with people. Any other questions?
Absolutely.
No, I
Not
think that's
that I
it
can
for,
think of right
for
now.
I mean,
Awesome.
you know.
Awesome.
We've got our marching orders.
There you go. You're doing awesome. You're just marching. That's all I can do to keep up with you. You're doing a great job. Okay. Well, for Values, People, and Purpose, I'm Tim Buchanan.
And I'm Vin Fetty.
And I'm Lisa Fetty.
And we're missing Rick Redding, but we know he's with us. So
Yeah.
have a great week. We look forward to seeing all of you again next time. Take care.